Hey there, and welcome back to the Board Game Sherpa. The channel takes the fear out of board gaming and puts the fun back in. Today's episode's a treat. I am lucky today to be interviewing Robert Coelho, who designed the game Comic Hunters, which happens to be the game I'm looking forward to the most at GenCon. We'll be talking about that as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. Welcome aboard, Robert. Did I pronounce your last name right?
Yeah, almost there. The right pronunciation would be Coelho.
Coelho. Okay.
Coelho,
Coelho.
which means rabbit in
Oh,
Portuguese.
Robert Rabbit.
Yeah.
You dodged the bullet by being called Roger.
That happens a lot. A lot of people mispronounce my name as Roger or as Richard. I don't know why, because it's very different. But it's English, and people sometimes confuse their minds.
People call me John all the time. I don't know why.
I understand. J is the same letter.
Exactly. All right, let's get right into it. So we'll start with an easy one for me anyway. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your origin story. How did you get to how did you get to be a board game designer? Where are you from? Where are you now?
All that stuff.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm from São Paulo, Brazil, and I am at São Paulo, Brazil. In São Paulo, or at São Paulo?
I'm in São Paulo.
Yeah. And I started playing board games a long time, and my job. I work at the theater. I was a theater director and playwright.
Okay.
Here in Brazil, and I always loved to work with stuff that is involving creativity or creating and all that stuff. So that's why I went to work with that. And at a certain point, I discovered the universe of the modern board games, because here in Brazil they arrived kind of late, like in most Europe and America. Board games, it's been a thing for quite time. I mean, Catan is from 1995. I guess by the year 2000 or something, a lot of modern board games were being sold in America. But in Brazil, they took like a decade. Catan was published here like in 2011 or 2010, I guess, something like that, among with Carcassonne, and from that point on, modern games started arriving here in Brazil. So we didn't have, we only have the classics like Monopoly and Clue and all that stuff. And
did you have the Avalon Hill stuff?
No, we did. These games, these classic games, they were all published here, and they're still published here by Brazilian publishers that have their own version of Monopoly. So Monopoly here was called and is still called Banco Imobiliário. So Clue was called Detetive and all this stuff, and we had our versions of those games.
Oh, wow.
And like we had Hero Quest in the 90s, about that time, like 2008, 2009, 2010, around that years I started really playing modern board games. We also have, I guess, our first board game cafe was here in Brazil, was founded around that time. It's called Ludus, and it's a very popular place here. Tom Vessel visited when he was here.
I saw that video where he visited, all the stairs and everything had board games. And
and it's a very popular place. They have tons of games there, and it's the crew is fantastic. So I started visiting Ludus at that time. So when I got in touch with these modern board games, it was like a curtain that was open for of a lot of possibilities, and I started thinking about how it would be so cool if there was a game. There's a game like this. It would be so cool if there was a game just like this, but with with a little twist. And so I start thinking about possibilities from the mechanics, the mechanisms, and the games I started playing. And with that ideas, I started creating some prototypes to play with myself and my friends and to test the ideas. But mostly like a creative an exercise. I was exercising my creativity. I was not intending to publish or something like that.
Right.
I was trying to have fun creating a board game, I guess.
Right.
And I know most of board game designers. I guess that's the first sparkle. I want to create something fun, and at a certain point, I had a prototype of a game about Shakespeare because I was
You were in
working with
the
theater, and
theater.
that yeah, and I play tested this game a lot with my theater group, and at a certain point, I had, well, this everybody likes this game. It seems to work. I guess I'm start showing other people that are not my friends and that don't don't work with me. So um, I knew a publisher that was just has started publishing here in Brazil. They published two games, one of their own games, and they published the Brazilian version of Coop. I'm not sure if you know the Brazilian version of Coop is well known outside Brazil because of its art, because it was the first board game that Weberson Santiago illustrated. Do you know Weberson Santiago?
I meant he's in one of the game. He's I forgot which one, but he's in my top 20 games of Gen Con. I think he was in two of them actually.
Yeah, Weberson is fantastic, and that was the first game he illustrated. Um, uh, and I knew them, and I knew they were looking for games, but I I I showed the game just because I wanted them to tell me, is this game really a good game, or am I just having fun with my friends or something like that? Because I really wanted to publish. If it's a good game, I want more people to know it, and I want to try to publish. So I went there to ask them for advice. How could I print the game? How I would distribute, and how a crowd um how do you say when you get Kickstarter is a crowdfunding. How would I
Crowdfunding.
crowdfund something like that? And they played the game. They liked it a lot. They give me a lot of advice and tips and all that. They told me how could I print the game, where I should print the game, and all that stuff. But 1 week later, they got in touch with me and said, "We really liked the game. We want to publish it. So, do you want to sign a contract with us?" And that was my first game,
Wow.
first contract. This was in 2014, like 10 years ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
And but the game was only published 7 years later.
Okay.
the, my first game published was Comic Hunters in 19 or 20. I'm not sure. I don't remember right now.
Again,
But
Geek
in
says
2020,
2020.
yeah, 2020, yeah,
Okay.
2020. So it is. uh, and after I signed Shakespeare, I started. Oh well, since this is working, I guess I'll try to work on other games, other ideas I have. So I start working on other prototypes and showing them, and going to events and play testing with. There are many prototype meetings and groups in Brazil, so I start to know other authors and other publishers, and I start at a certain point that in I start working with um localization of some games in Brazil. I helped with playtesting the Brazilian version and sometimes adapting when there were. Do you know that game Escape Room? That is like a cage box, like something like that.
I've
It's
seen
a game called Escape Room.
I've seen a bunch of escape. I don't know that specific. I've seen a
Yeah,
bunch of escape.
yeah, there are a lot of escape room games, but this one is called Escape Room, and it was published. It was about to be published here, and the publisher they wanted something. They wanted someone to not just test the Brazilian version, but also adapt some of the puzzles in the game to our culture and our language
Oh,
and all that stuff. So they asked me because they knew I was creating games and working with that. So I helped them with the localization of these and other games like Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, Detective, the Ignatius Ignatius, yes, Ignatius Detective, an investigation game. It's
okay.
a so I worked on that one too, testing and checking the if the localization was right. So I started getting into into not, it was not just a hobby. I started working really with that. At the point I got in touch. There was an opportunity to work at a publisher, and I got a job, and that's what I'm doing. I left working with theater and started working with board games.
Do you still do theater on the side, or are you just completely done?
I with theater, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm done.
Okay. So there's some.
I guess no one is offering me a job there right now because people say, "Oh, it's because you know it's kind of difficult to to theater is not something that give that you get a lot of money working with that like in Brazil. So there are a lot of difficulties and all that. So when I started working with board games, I said, well, this is working really good for me right now, and I was really having problems with getting my theater projects working and trying to I was trying to put a play, and I was having a lot of hard time on that. So jobs on board games were coming, and so I guess that's a sign. I guess
Yeah. If
yeah. And
you got to know when you see what's coming, it's like, okay, that's what that's where the jobs are. This is, I mean, this is what I want to do, but that's what's pulling me.
yeah, but I really wanted to work with board games also, and it was not something. Oh, okay, that's so hard, so difficult to do. No, I loved it. All the opportunities I had, they were great, and I learned each one. On each one, I was learning a lot. So I'm very thankful for everything that happened in that way. So now I still work in. I work at Rock Games. Uh, and I work as a developer of the games we sign with Brazilian authors, and
Okay.
sometimes with foreigners for from people from authors from other countries also, but mostly Brazilian authors. And
I had a question.
and, and
Quick question.
I'll see. Yes.
I noticed when we first told me, you said you also worked on hi-fi, but you weren't a
Yeah.
designer on that. Was that what does a developer do that a designer doesn't?
Yeah. The designer the designer creates the game, so he has
Okay.
the idea, the eureka moment,
Okay.
and they play test it, and okay, this is the game, and this is the concept, this is what's going on. So the publisher looks to the game, so oh, well, that's interesting, that's very interesting, we really want to publish this one. But I guess it could be we could make into a better product if we change something here, something there. So that's when the developer comes. So the developer gets the game from the author, play tested a lot, and try to find what does what is the way to find the best version of the game, and to as a product and as a game also. So that's and most people Fel Barros, which is a Brazilian well-known author, also no, he's a well-known Brazilian author. He worked also as a developer for a long time at Simon, and he always said that the developers are the unsung heroes of the board game process, because they are working on getting the game on the right place to be published, and that's what we do. That's what I do there. I work with the authors to get the best version of the game
Oh wow, okay.
to be published. So we play test a lot, we discuss a lot with the authors, we tried and different ways to improve the experience, the player experience. I loved working at Hi-Fi because André Teruya, which is the author, is a great friend of mine, and he has excellent ideas. He's like a genius. He has
I think I
very
said
crazy ideas. Yes.
in the video. I did say I pre-ordered it, so I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
The design of the box, to be able to open that box and have like a record player there. That
Yeah, that's all the visual and the experience of having the turntable, where you put the turntable and the vinyl record. They existed since the first prototype Andre had. We just try to improve that sparkle, that idea of having the turntable being a mancala, and we transformed the board in a studio, and with all that studio table aspect and all that, and we tried to make it as friendly as possible, because we knew that Hi-Fi would be a game that gets everyone's attention,
got mine.
when it's on the table. We demoed at our main fair here, our main convention, board game convention, is called DOF, which means diversão offline, like offline fun.
Is that where Tom Vassell went to? That's the one he
Yeah,
went to?
that's where Tom. That's when Tom visited us last year, and two consecutive years we demoed Hi-Fi, and every time we put on the table and someone started playing, there was a crowd was formed around the table, just looking, what's going on here? It's a turntable, it's a board game, so it's so interesting.
It does have a wow factor.
Yeah, and we knew that, so we knew that we should at least have a version that would be welcoming for, because probably a lot of non-gamers would be interested in playing because of the theme and how it's presented. So we try to work on the best version to introduce non-gamers, or like a game for beginners and something like that. So we also work. Kurt from Smirk and Dagger also helped us a lot on that. He play tested a lot with his crew and in meetings and with his play testers and all that. He gave us a lot of feedback. Then we also worked it on Kurt's playtest feedback, and I'm very proud of the game we have, and I'm very curious to see how it will it will be the reception for the game.
Right.
I'm sorry. English is not my modern language, so
that's perfectly fine. I'm
messing all the temporal verbs, the time past. I guess you understand me.
You're making yourself perfectly clear to me. I'm understanding everything you're saying.
That's good, because it's a great warm up for GenCon in 2 weeks. I'll have to speak English a lot.
Right. Well, if you need anything, you know where to find me. I'll be around.
Great.
Okay, so all right, so hi-fi, yeah, that's for Gen Con. Let's go, and we'll get to Gen Con. Gen Con's 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks away now.
Yeah.
But let's get into the beginnings of Comic Hunters. How, I mean, I love it. I love the idea. I mean, I'm a comic collector. I got my DC comics here.
Yeah. Whoa, you have a.
I got the first Captain Cold, first Polka Dot Man, and first Green Lantern.
Oh, this is the first Green Lantern. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, if you notice the quality is a 1.5.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah,
but that doesn't matter to me.
Still, doesn't matter. It's
I want the physical book, but it's am I going to resell those? I'll never resell those.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I mean, if they're I have tons downstairs of flash books, like of a whole bunch. So this game just kind of hit me, and I'm also friends with people who have all the original that have all the original Marvel, the first Spider-Man, first Captain America, first Loki, first Thor, like first everything. Like
many of them are in the game.
I've noticed. I was looking at a playthrough and I was like, oh, this is, this is nice. It definitely hit me where it's a game that I can bring those people, my friends, into the board game world. I'm always looking for gateway games to bring people in.
Yeah.
So
it's a game that works very well on that. I play tested with many with different audiences and people who didn't know anything about comics and people who were not gamers, and it worked very well. I got this feedback from them. I don't know anything about comics, but I loved the game. I loved how the game works, and that's perfect because
everyone collects something.
Yeah. And everybody understands, because it's a human thing to collect something, and everybody understands that. And the dynamics and the mechanism, they're working. They were working. I guess, I presume it's because I got a lot of great feedbacks on that.
I was watching the Mike DeLisio review of it, and I was like, it sounds like a very straightforward game, and it's like, and it's really cool. It's like you're going to the places where you would get comics, conventions, flea markets, estate sales, whatever. But you're going to these places. It's like, I got to know, are you a comic collector?
Yes, I am.
So there wasn't a lot of research into this game.
My comics are not right here. I only have some Disney comics here. My comics are on the other room. I started reading comics when I was a kid. I loved Disney comics and Marvel comics and DC comics. And I had the first time I had this idea of creating a game about collecting comic books was when I found an internet site, that website that it was called, I'm not sure, I always forget this name. It was a digital comic book museum, something like that, where you had many comics from the golden age that are now.
Is it Cover Price?
No. It's a comic where it's a website where you actually can read the comics, because all comics there are public
domain.
Yes, public domain, and there are a ton of comics there. So it was like finding a treasure for me, because I really love those golden age comics. So I started reading a lot of them, and the covers were great. They were awesome. There were different the were the comical ones, the Far West, the science fictions, and all that different genres. And so I look at this cover. It's so nice. I'm gonna save this because it was all image. So I start saving comic covers.
Right.
And when I saved the like 10 or something like that, I looked to the window with all the comic covers, and well, there is a game here about collecting comics, of course. So I start saving a lot of images and start working on cards, and start thinking how could be how the mechanics would be, how could you collect the cards and arrange the cards. And weeks later, I Sergio Halaban, who is the author of Sheriff of Nottingham,
Okay.
He's Brazilian also.
Okay. I'm finding out so many Brazilian designers
Yeah,
here.
there are a lot of Brazilians in the comic and the board game industry. They are everywhere. And Sergio just released a game that's called Matryoshka. It's a game about those Russian dolls that you put one inside the
Oh,
other.
there's
You
the
know that?
nesting dolls.
Yeah, nesting dolls. Yeah, and it's a game about collecting these nesting dolls. Um, and the mechanism was very similar to what I was thinking about for the comic book game. So, Sergio already did this game, so it's very similar. I won't do the same game. So I put the idea away. So I saved the files, and one day I'll come back here when I have another idea for this. I'll work on this again, but a lot of games happens to this. You're working on a game, then you find someone is doing something very similar, so you put it away, or well, maybe one day I'll come back to this and work on this again if I have a different path to follow. So that's what happened. And then years later, I had a friend that he started a publisher, and he was they were publishing great games here, like Kingsburg. They also published Teotihuacan here in Brazil, and they were publishing many games. And one day he went to my you
Kingsburg?
have
I think I have Kingsburg. I definitely have Kingsburg. Is it somewhere nearby?
yeah, they published the that new version. They have that Mystery of the Abbey is like a great game.
Yeah, right there. I've had a
Oh, it's
good
behind you. It's behind you.
where? Oh, here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is the first version. I have this one. They published here the new version they had years ago with a new art and different art and all that. So and he went to my house to play. We were supposed to play. I don't remember exactly what. I think Mage Night or something else. And when he arrived at home, my Shakespeare prototype was on the table, and and he asked, "What game is this?" Well, this is it's a prototype. I'm working. It's going to be published by Grok Games and all that. So, I didn't know that, and he really. I told him before that I had a game to be published, but he didn't pay attention. I don't know. He didn't remember. So he asked, "No, let's play. I want to play your game." So we played the game. He really liked it, and at the end of the game, he said, "You know what? It would be awesome if this game was published with Marvel Heroes theme." I said, "Yeah, it's a good idea. You have to adapt something, a lot of stuff. Me, by the way, but it would work. It would really work." And we start saying, yeah, but we start discussing, but must be very difficult to get the license to publish a game with Marvel characters. You have to probably pay a lot of a lot of money for that.
Just as a record, I wrote a book on cosplay, and naturally, I have a lot of Star Wars costumes, a lot of Marvel costumes. Marvel wouldn't let me use pictures of myself in those costumes for the book. DC, Hasbro, uh, Battlestar Galactica, no problem. They let me do it, no problem. Marvel, Disney would not let me do anything.
Yeah, they are very protective with their IP. So when we were discussing that, our other friend Luis, who was playing with us, he starts looking at the cell phone and he said, I found the Marvel's office in Brazil here, and the person you should talk to about the license is her name is this, and her phone is here, and also her email. And my friend from the publisher, Mario, he says, "Okay, give me the number and email. I'm gonna write her, and we'll work on that." And I thought he was just blabbering, and so okay, you really will. Okay, that's right. So he got the number and email. A week later, he phones me. So, hi, how are you doing? I'm fine. Great. In 1 month, we'll have a meeting at Disney to talk about your game.
Oh, wow.
What are you talking about? Yeah, I talked with her. He's going on vacation. So when she returns, we have a meeting with her to talk about that. And so you prepare a presentation of the game, how the game works, and all that. I said, okay. So I sat on the computer and said, well, okay, let's make a sell sheet. I started working on a sell sheet of a game that would be inspired on Shakespeare, or a game that inspired on Shakespeare would with the Marvel characters and all that. So I worked on that sell sheet and said, you know what? I have some weeks to the meeting, so I'll work on another ideas. So I created 5 propositions, 5 ideas, pitches,
Right.
of 5 different games. There was this game that was inspired on the Shakespeare mechanisms. There was a game about Spider-Verse, because the first Spider-Verse animation was about to be released on the year after that. So I thought that would be a nice idea to have a game on that, because it was something that probably would be very popular soon.
Right.
Another game like 2 other games, and I remembered that comic book game I had on the drawer in the drawer. So let's work on a pitch about that, a game about collecting Marvel comic books. So so I prepared the presentation. We went to the meeting. We talked to her, explained what we were thinking about. I showed her the games and how each game would work. And the game she really loved was the comic book game. So this one, I guess it will be a success, because it will work with the covers, the comic covers, all the characters. People understand how about this collecting, something very interesting. So great. They started working on a contract to publish the games here in Brazil.
Right.
It took a year of negotiation, so should that really happen? And then they published not just Comic Hunters, which became the name of the game, but also 2 other games from other authors. A small Spider-Man game, card game,
Hmm.
and a board game with all the heroes. It's like a board game. With a lot of heroes. Each player has its own team of Avengers, and is trying to get the bad guys and all the stuff. And it's a very cool game. It's like an Euro game. It's not a thematic game with dice rollings and all that. It's really an Euro game where you have to manage resources and your team and all that. It's a very interesting game.
Did
So
it make it? Do you know if it made it to the U.S.?
no, those 2, I guess not.
Okay.
Probably now that Comic Hunters is coming, maybe the others will. I don't know. And so then when they start this year, they spent negotiating about how the terms would be and all that. I started working on the game because I only had the pitch.
Right. Okay.
So I started researching which characters would be in the game, how the what would give value for each comic. So why a comic book is important for a collector, because it's the first appearance of a character, or is a great battle with the nemesis, or it's a first time with a new costume, and all this stuff. So I started thinking about all these characteristics, and they became icons in the game, which will give you points if you collect them. And I started playing with all that data I I got from the books, and that's where Comic Hunters was really born. And it was a great pleasure to do that research, because since I collected comic books from since I was a kid, it was in some way coming back for a lot of stuff that was really in the past. So, oh, this comic book must be in the game, because I remember when I bought this comic, and when I was having that feeling, when I had that feeling when I was researching, I knew that many collector comic books would feel the same when they play the game, because they would remember. And since there are comics from since the 60s to the 2000s and all that, since the present day, I knew that no matter when you started collecting, you would recognize some
Right.
covers, and they would mean something to you if you were a Marvel fan and all that stuff, because they probably were part of your reading and your life with comics. And and it was something really cool and really pleasure. I had a great pleasure doing that, deciding which comic would feature. And of course we had to approve all the comic covers.
Right.
Many covers we could not use, because a lot of legal stuff with Marvel and uh, other orientations they have about using the characters and all that. Actually, there was Captain Marvel was in the game in the first version we present to approval.
Right.
Captain Marvel was in the game. There were two girls like Black Widow and Captain Marvel, but we could not use Captain Marvel because they didn't want us to use previous versions of Carol Danvers when she was Miss Marvel and when she was I'm not I don't remember actually the name between Miss Marvel and Captain Marvel in English. Ah,
I'm horrible at Marvel stuff. Yeah.
okay. Oh, anyway, so who knows the name? I don't remember right now. In Portuguese, it's binaria, but I don't remember the name in English. Maybe it's binary, but I'm not sure. And so since we could not use those versions, we had to abandon, because we would not be able to use the 70s comics, and that would break the balance in the game. So
Right.
at least in this version of the game, that's something I'm trying to work on. If we have new versions of the game, new comic characters to come, and all that expansions and all that stuff. I'm working on a system that we can have a, because there are many characters like for example Deadpool and Gambit. They are from the 90s, 80s,
Right.
something like that. So because for those who don't know, the game is divided in 5 eras, in 5 ages. So the first age is the 60s and the 70s. The second age is the 80s and the 90s, and the third age is the 20s and to the present. So I tried in the beginning to divide the game in the classic eras, ages we know, like Silver Age, Bronze Age, and all that stuff. But there were many ages this was not working with the game mechanisms. And also this there are different opinions about them after the 90s, how the ages are divided, and the name and their names and all that stuff. So I prefer to make the game works, to make the game work with 3 ages that they are not actually the the ages we use in comics, but the game works, and that's
It has.
fine.
Sometimes you have to do things your own way to make things work, because
Yeah.
nothing falls into neat little. Not everything in the nothing in the world falls into categories, even categories. I was having a conversation this morning about what what mechanics, what different mechanics are. It's like what do you consider a card drafting game, a worker placement? It's like, oh, this game is like, people will be arguing that for days.
Yeah.
So and especially with especially with the crossover and yeah, things never fall into nice buckets.
Yeah, you have to, and it worked. But now I have this problem: if a character was not created in the 60s and the 70s, he doesn't have a card in that age, and the ages means each age worth something in the game. So I'm trying to I've been testing ways to make that work, so a character from the 90s can fit the game, even he doesn't if he doesn't, or he or she, or doesn't have a comic book published in the 60s and the 70s. But that's for the future. For now, the game works. It's working well. And so I was talking about that. We had to approve all the comic books and all the stuff, um, and we had to take Karen Danvers from the game, and that's when Doctor Strange came in.
Okay,
He because he's a character from the 60s and all the stuff, and we had the movie and all the. Of course, we tried to have the characters that are represented in the movies, because people who are not from comic books, they will they and now everybody knows who Black Panther is. Like 20 years ago, nobody knew. People from who are not comic book readers, they don't know. They didn't know
right.
who Black Panther was. Now that's the power of the movies. Now everybody knows who Black Panther is, who Deadpool is, and all that stuff. So, and when the game was released here in Brazil, we had a great reception, uh, great, a lot of fantastic feedbacks, and the game got. We have our own, like the Brazilian prize, like the Spiel, or
Right.
we have, it's called, an award from, we have our own BGG, kind of BGG. We have a platform that's called Ludopedia. It's like similar to BGG, but it's in Portuguese for the Brazilian audience and all the stuff. You have
Gotcha.
the game page when you can, that there's a market also, and there are forums and all that. So the Comic Hunters did this platform, this website, the Ludopedia. Every year we have the Ludopedia Awards. So on the game, on Comic Hunters got 3 awards from,
Nice.
yeah, at this, and it meant a lot to me, because it was my first game being published, and getting all that praise and all that stuff. It was really cool, and especially because it was a game about comic books, something that I really love. And I guess that's it. When you really love something and you work hard on that, you get somewhere.
Right.
and and
If you're willing to put in the extra, you're willing to put in the extra hours, because it's not work at that point.
yeah, that's it. And it's what happened was, they were working on um an English version of the rule book, to put on BGG, and to because people from outside Brazil were, they were discovering the game, and they thought, oh, I want you to play this game. So they were buying the game, but there weren't English rules, so they were translating the rules to English. And I thought, when they finished translating the rules, I'll send a game, Comic Hunters, to the Dice Tower, because I know Tom loves Marvel, and I really I really would like to repay Tom the all the hours he gave me as a reviewer and presenting me games and all that stuff. I watched the Dice Story video since I started playing board games, modern board games. So I was just waiting for them to finish translating the book, and then I got a message from a guy from Brazil that I didn't know, who's called Thiago, and Thiago said, "Hi, Robert. Um, do you have an English version of the rule book of Comic Hunters rule book?" I said, "They're working on that. I'm also waiting. So as soon as I have one, I'll send you." And I asked why. No, because I sent Dice Tower a copy of the of the game,
Wow.
and the game is about to arrive, and I thought I could translate, but I didn't have time, so I thought maybe they have one. So if you had, I would send them. I said, "Thank you, Thiago. You you just did what I was thinking about doing.
Right.
So thank you because you sent the game. As soon as I have the rule book, we can send them." So I sent them the rule book. So I started talking to Mark Delicio. He loved the game, and uh, they they Mike did a video about the game. He did a review on the game, and and one day I got an email from Tom asking, "So I want you to make this happen. I want you comic book to be published here. How what do we have to do to make that work?" So and I told him, you got to talk to the publisher. So I present email and virtually present, put them in touch. So they start talking. So it took, I guess, 2 years to of negotiation, because how would that work? How would be the contract? They decided that they should find a partner that has the license. So all that times working on that. Now we have Comic Hunters being published by Arcane Wonders and Spin Master.
Now, after Gen Con's one thing, it'll be going to, you can, hopefully they'll have copies of it at Gen Con with Spin Master. Afterwards, if you were to go to a store, would it be would you go to the Arcane Wonders website or the Spin Masters?
I guess Spin Master, because I'm not sure.
Because
I'm not aware of everything, every details on the other side negotiation, because there are a lot of degrees of. There's me, there's the Brazilian publisher, there's the Brazilian guy who works with the Brazilian publisher to get the game to the United States. There's the Arcane Wonders, and then there's the Spin Master. So there's a
there's a lot of in between.
yeah. So but everybody's working on that, on make the game being published. I guess it will be Spin Master,
Okay.
probably on Spin Master's website, but I'm not sure. Maybe there it will be, maybe you will find the game on both websites. I that's my but my feeling is that Spin Master will deal with that. Will deal with that, not only selling but distributing the game in America.
Okay. Now I know I got to ask this question. I mean, DC, Spin Masters does Marvel United, right?
Yeah.
And
I have a lot of. I have some.
I'm already like, there's a new DC United coming out, and I'm all over that just now. It's like every 5 minutes I'm getting a new update.
They have great boxes there.
Yeah, I'm close to $200 in right now.
Yeah, I won't get everything, but I'll sure get the base one, and because if you don't get if you don't get on at the Kickstarter, you don't get the extras.
Right, exactly. And there's like, I think there's like there's like 25 new characters now.
Yeah, and they'll have much more probably.
Right. So I'm waiting for I'm waiting for the Batman one. I don't
Yeah,
know I don't know for sure what's coming out, but I think there's probably going to be a Batman one. I'm hoping there's a Flash one. I'm hoping there's a Suicide Squad one with the new Suicide Squad as opposed to the original Suicide
yeah,
Squad.
yeah.
I know
I
they
guess
just
I guess they will have Suicide Squad because they are very popular because of the movies,
right, and
and
they
they
just
have
and one of the stretch goals was Katana, but she's from the original Suicide Squad movie,
yeah,
which
yeah, yeah,
I'm not, which wasn't. I didn't enjoy it. I love the new Suicide Squad.
yeah.
I mean,
I,
again,
I'll I'll guess they'll have Suicide Squad. Harley Quinn is a very popular character. They will
right,
probably work on that, and I'm sure they will have a Batman Arch Nemesis Batman villains
right,
box, just like the Spider-Man one, the Sinister Six, where you
right.
do you know this version? I love this one because you can play against all the Sinister Six. There's a
I
Sinister Six mode.
my personal shirt. The guy who brought me into the games has everything. All I have is the one copy, the base game. I bought that. I bought that at a local comic store just after the kick. I wasn't on the Kickstarter. Like I said, not really not one of my not a Marvel fan, but one of my favorite games is Marvel Splendor.
No, Marvel Splendor is really
Because
cool.
that
It's
game
a
just I love Splendor before it got attached to Marvel, and it was just such a perfect combination
yeah.
of two things. Anyway, so we went way off what I was originally asking. Comic Hunters, DC version. What do you think's going to happen unofficially?
Unofficially, I'd love to do a DC version. I really love. I actually let me show you something. I got this just in case. Do you know this one here?
Oh yeah. The complete
Yes, it's in
definitive
Spanish.
edition.
It's not, it's a visual chronicle of this book is amazing because it tells the story of DC Comics on comic covers and
It has the
important.
covers. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So this is
I have something
so
similar because I one of my like I said we do a lot of cosplay and and I have a group. That's a great cover. That's not the original. No, I don't. I'm horrible. I'm
I,
horrible with like first appearances. I have to look
this
everything up.
is no, I'm not. I'm not sure. It's from 70, 71.
Okay, so yeah, this is long before it was like the late '50s for that one.
Yeah. So I got this one because it was I went to visit Buenos Aires last year, and I saw this on a bookstore there, and it was the price was good, and I said, well, let me get this one because it's a good price, and
It's great
maybe
research.
I don't know who knows, maybe one day I'll need this book a lot, so it's here waiting for the day to come.
I'm hoping. I'm
Yeah,
hoping it happens. I mean,
yeah.
like I
The possibilities are amazing because not just only with comic books, because like you said, it's a game about collecting. Yeah,
right.
and I know that it appeals especially to comic book collectors because there's all this nostalgia and all this feeling and all this stuff, and but it also like I said before, it also works with someone that doesn't collect comics. So I guess in other themes would work very well, but they really wanted to make the original version to be published. Like at the beginning, when they start talking, said, okay, if we don't get the Marvel license, let's try something else. But we really want to do the Marvel license because that's the appealing. That's what when
That's
you
that's
yeah
the
when
magic.
you
That's the magic. That's the magic of Marvel Splendor. It's like Splendor's great, but adding the Marvel to it was just made that game out of this. That
yeah
will bring that Marvel Splendor. I've brought so many people in to play that game, who just like Marvel and that board game, and they now own their own copies just
Yeah,
because they weren't board gamers.
and it's a great game for non-board gamers. That's it. I love these kind of. And then when I was designing and working on Comic Hunters, I thought about that. This game has to work with non-board gamers because it will probably attract their attention. And you gotta, if you're inviting someone to your house, you gotta be a nice host. So I really want to make people feel comfortable, and I don't want them to feel, oh, this game is so confusing, I don't understand. I want them to have fun.
Exactly.
And I think, like you said, Spender works that really well. I guess there are other. Actually, Marvel United does a great job on that. Also,
Agreed.
it's a cooperative game with simple rules. I love Marvel United not just because of the theme, but as a game, and the core mechanisms are really fantastic. They really, it's my favorite cooperative game, and I knew that, oh, they won't stop here. They will they will make other themes on this game because it's such a great platform. They had so many characters already created, and
Right.
they're still finding ways to create new ones and new dynamics and new stuff for the game. So it's amazing. I love what they're doing with.
They're doing amazing work, and it's exciting. I mean, and
Yeah.
I mean, they completely funded in 25 minutes, and now I think they're pushing $900,000 in their game found.
Yeah,
So it's profitable, but it's profitable because people want this.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm excited about that one.
I'm really excited also. I was planning only get the base game and the Batman villains, but that Justice Society
Yep.
box, it's
Yeah, Justice Society was I had to get that one.
yeah.
I'm also a big Green Lantern fan, so I ordered the Green Lantern box. But if they don't put Hal Jordan in it, because he's not out yet. Hal Jordan and Sinestro are not they're not stretch goals. They're not in the base game. They're not in the base game, and they're not in the Green Lantern box. So I'm sure they'll put him out at some point, but they did put him into the Justice League movie. So who knows?
So okay, but since it's not on the base box, and since it's not on the Green Lantern troop
Right?
box, where would they put Hal Jordan, in your opinion? Because they're planning something.
Okay.
It's not a stretch goal.
I, in my head, I mean, it's they get at they already have the Justice League, so they have everybody from the main seven from the Justice League. The only thing I can see is because I noticed the Green Lantern the Spectrum series was huge. So now they have the Green Lanterns. Maybe they'll do a Yellow Lanterns, Red Lanterns with Atrocitus, the Blue Lanterns. Like they'll have one from each representing each of the lights.
That's very interesting. That's a box that's a very interesting box.
So I mean, again, they put seven.
The brightest day box, something like that.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
so I mean,
It's cool because we're talking about this on the video, and when people watch this video, probably this is already out.
I hope so.
So the people are having fun with our predictions.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we've had a conversation, and like, when they were doing Marvel United, I wasn't part of it, so I'm hearing this secondhand. They not Nightwing, oh, the guy with the tail,
Nightcrawler.
Nightcrawler. That they had the X-Men box, but Nightcrawler wasn't out, and he was like the last or the second to last stretch goal when they hit like a million.
Yeah.
So I think
they really waited on this one. Yeah, everybody was asking, well, where's Nightcrawler? Where's Nightcrawler? Yeah, but I don't know. I guess Hal Jordan is It's
Tar-
yeah,
He's tarnished. He's tarnished based on the movie. I mean, because
yeah,
I mean, it killed me that he wasn't in Justice League, the movie.
yeah.
So I'm
Uh,
hoping they bring him back. It's just like, I mean, they got Guy Gardner. They have to have Hal Jordan.
Gardner is on the Superman movie, right?
Is he?
On this new Superman they're
Oh, I did
filming.
hear that. Yeah. Which,
Yeah,
but yeah. But they do. I
I don't
mean,
know.
I'm hoping the Spectrum series is where it happened, because I would love to have an Atrocitus. I would love to have a Glarfleeze. I'd love to have, I mean, I can't remember, Saint. What's the blue one? Saint. I forgot what the Saint is. Saint elsewhere. I don't know. But the Blue Lantern, that Saint something. I forgot. I have to look it up. But
That's very reasonable because it would be seven.
yeah,
Do we
maybe
Sinestro is on the Green Lantern Troops box?
no. Sinestro. The only place I've seen Sinestro is a henchman for Lex Luthor on the base box, and
Oh.
as a card, not a scout, not a figure.
Yeah, so I guess we are on the right way. Probably they will have a bright as day, something like
I hope
that, or
so.
darkest night. I don't know, something like that, because Sinestro would be the Yellow Lantern,
Mhm.
and Hal Jordan and all the guys you.
Now, there's also the possibility that they'll do, and this is because they have John and Jaina from Super Friends. It's possible to do a Super Friends. But again, they have everyone already, or they have everyone from the Justice League.
Yeah, I
But
guess I guess they won't do that.
they might do a Legion of Doom, so they might have the purple Sinestro, in the blue and purple.
Yeah, but
Ah,
but yeah, I know from the cartoon you're saying. Yeah, well, I guess it's more. I guess the brightest day box is it's a better bet.
it just seems, the fact that they don't have Sinestro or Hal Jordan, you know,
Yeah, that means
that
something. Yeah, that means something.
like those two are like one or the other.
Yeah,
But we'll see. I mean, again, it's exciting thinking about what's coming
soon,
next.
soon, because it's. I guess it's that there are 2 weeks for the.
Something like that. And there's
Yeah,
2 weeks
yeah,
till the end. 2 weeks till Gen Con too. So it's like,
yeah.
if we're going to Gen Con, I got some serious thinking of like, what am I keeping? What am I getting rid of in there? I mean, I've already started switching because I originally signed up for Titans. Not really a Teen Titans fan, but I switched that with the Justice Society. So, but now it was like, okay, I added the Green Lanterns. You know, I'm just thinking about all the new ones that could possibly come.
Yeah, I think they got great stuff to come.
But we got way far out of comic hunters, which is
Yeah,
what we.
yeah. We're that's what happens when you put two comic book fans to talk.
Yeah, it turns all about comics. All right, comic hunters question: between the Brazilian version and the American version, is there any difference other than the
as
language?
as far as I know, just production, because they are handling the production of the games in a very different way. The game the original game was produced here in Brazil. Everything, cards and the board, the box and all that. Um, so I'm not sure what they if they changed the size of stuff like the tokens. I don't know anything. I know they kept the art. The art is the same,
He
but
can't change that because it's
yeah,
the
yeah.
original.
But about the quality, I don't know a thing. I
But
will discover. I will discover at Gen Con what's going on.
but gameplay is probably going to be the same.
Yeah,
Everything else
there's
will be like
no.
surface level.
Yeah. There's nothing different from the gameplay as far as I know. And that's it. I guess it's working that way. I guess there's not a lot to change. Uh, production, I guess so, but I don't know. We're the game is sold out here. It's out of print. It had 2000 and something. I don't remember exactly, but uh, almost something more than 2000 copies produced here, and it sold out for years, for like 2 years at least, and we are having a new edition by the end of the year
In Brazil.
uh, in Brazil. Yeah,
Oh wow.
because the question was, the problem was about the license, because they had the license for a year and that's it. That was it. They
Right.
didn't renew the license, so they could not do a new print because of the license. So when they when things start working with Arcane Wonders and Spin Master, I told them you should look for someone who has the license here in Brazil, just like the Arcane Wonders is doing.
Right.
So they start talking to other publishers, including mass marketing publishers that has the license, that had the license, and they worked out something. So they have now a partnership with Copag, which is the Brazilian factory, Cartamundi factory. Cartamundi is a worldwide company that produces fantastic cards and the best card of in the world and all the stuff. So Cartamundi has this Brazilian factory called Copag. They produce traditional cards. They also produce here in Brazil the Pokemon TCG game
Okay.
and other games. Also, they I had a game released here at months ago at our convention DOF, called Urbs, by the same publisher Copag,
Mhm.
and Copag is in the partnership to publish the game by the end of the year. It's coming back to stores here
Oh
in
well,
Brazil.
this is a perfect segue into the next batch of questions. What what other games have you designed, and what's staying in Brazil? What may be coming to the U.S.?
Yeah. For now, as far as I know, only comic hunters. I hope all the others get their way to the international market. I'll take some of them and try to show and talk to publishers to check. Maybe I can get some of them, some of these games to be published in the US. I have, as I said, as I told before, the first game, Shakespeare, it's it was published here. We almost had it published in English twice, but it didn't work out at that time. I also want to work on a new version of this game and a second edition, like, because it's a very particular game, because there's a learning curve. It has 60 characters in the game. Each one is a different Shakespearean character,
Uh-huh.
and each one has a different action. It's very thematic. The actions are very thematic with the characters. So it's a game that the first time you play, you're understanding what's going on and how the characters they work with each other and the synergy with the cards and all this stuff. So when the first play ends, oh, I got it. Now I want to play it again because I
Right.
understand better the
Now you
game.
understand what you can
So
do.
yeah, but it's not everybody that has that feeling. So that wants really to play again, because sometimes people thought, okay, I understood now, but I don't want it to play again. So it's a game that depends on players who like this learning curve, this higher learning curve. They they love the game, and so I'm trying to work on that to get a new version to work on this learning curve and maybe
Make it a little more newbie friendly.
yeah, because it was my first game. So now today when I look to the game, to the product, I understand all that. At that time I didn't have all this perception and all this stuff. So maybe there's a second version coming. Um,
That's all public
I also
domain. Shakespeare's all public domain, so there's no licensing issues, right?
yeah, it's public domain. You don't have to. It's an IP because it's there are a lot of characters. There's a name involved, but it's public domain. So
Oh, okay. So you don't have to worry about that. That's a big problem.
yeah, yeah. I also there's another game IP game I worked here in Brazil. I created a trick taking game, a One Piece trick taking game. One Piece became very popular here in Brazil because of the Netflix series, live action series, and also One
What
Piece.
One Piece? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's anime. It's a Japanese
Oh, okay,
manga and anime,
okay.
and it got a Netflix live action series last year,
Okay,
and it One Piece is huge. It has like 1,000 and something chapters and episodes, and
oh
it's a
wow.
huge story. And um I was working at a publisher, and I had two friends that they loved One Piece and they read every week because it's weekly.
Okay,
The chapters are weekly, so they read every week, and they discuss the theories and the mysteries, and I was working right there, listening to their stories and their theories of this. This must be very interesting because every week you're talking about that, and I'm hearing this. No, they said they told me you should. I tried to watch the cartoon years before, but it's the rhythm is very different from our occidental rhythm for cartoons and all that stuff.
right.
Um, it takes a lot of episodes to finish a fight and all that stuff, and so I didn't have patience, so I quit. And they told me, no, you should not watch the cartoon, you should read the manga because it's much faster and it's much better.
Right.
The cartoon, the anime is very uh they respect they really do the story. They don't change the story a lot. They are very similar to the books, but you should read the books because they are better and faster. And that's
And
what I did.
they drag the movie drags them out.
Yeah, I started reading, and when I started reading, I never stopped. And I like that. I like a lot. I still read, and I know everything is going on, and now I discuss with them the theories. We have a
You're one of
WhatsApp
them.
group to discuss the theories and all this stuff. So, and while I was reading, I was in the middle of the journey of reading One Piece. A publisher called me, a mass market publisher called me. I said, hi, because I left a card with them at a fair,
Okay.
at a toy fair, and months later they called me. So we're looking for someone to create a game for a Japanese characters. We got the license. Would you be interested in that? So sure. What is the license? So I'm not sure if you know. It's called One Piece. So, oh, I know. I
So
really know.
this is like fate
You called
that
the
they
right
hit
person.
at the right time.
Yeah. So and I then we start talking, and I pitched some ideas, and they liked this. They liked the two of them a lot. So one was a board game, and the other was a card game, a trick taking game.
Okay.
And then we signed. It was published here in Brazil. I have it here. It's a mass market game, so the book looks like the back of the box.
Okay. I did see that one when I was putting it up on the board.
Yeah,
I don't know
but
if
I got a lot of I got great feedback on this one. Just like Comic Hunters, everybody who doesn't know One Piece really liked the game,
okay.
and and now there's a huge the card games, like traditional card games like trick taking and ladder climbing and all the stuff, the rummy, they're very popular right now, I guess, not just in Brazil but worldwide.
Right.
And since it's a trick taking game, it called the attention of everyone. Was there's a we called here in Brazil this segment of games we called carteado,
Carciato. Okay.
because it's cards, and carteado is like a game of cards.
Okay. Gotcha.
And there are a lot of carteado lovers here in Brazil, and they really loved the game. So I was very happy because I had the same objective I had in Comic Hunters, creating a game that would be nice to non gamers, but it would also work with gamers and all the stuff. And
And
I have
it works for the anime because they're bringing people in. They're bringing people who wouldn't are playing, and I was like, oh, what? Let's see find more of this.
yeah. And well, it was a great experience to work on that. I also have this. There's this. This is another mass market game, but this is a mass market company that they thought about publishing games that were for the board gamers,
Right.
but they don't really have the component quality board gamers expect in their games, because
Right.
they are a mass market company. So it's like it's in a limbo, the game, because for the mass markets it's kind of too much, and
For
for the
for
board
the serious
gamers,
people, it's too
yeah,
little.
the game is cool, but the production quality is very poor. So and it's called Bravo. It's a game about building your own circus. So you're
Okay.
high. It's a tile placing game. I'm not sure if you can check
I
right there. So you get each tile is an artist that you hire to your circles, and you're also attracting the public. So in each audience tile, they want to see a different kind of artist and all the stuff. So it's an
okay.
auction game, because you decide which character, which artists you get to the circles by making bids on them and all the stuff. So this one is as it was years ago. The license it's about to expire. I'll get the game back, so I'll try to take it to some publisher, to board game publisher, to check if it gets a new version and all the
Okay.
stuff.
You can fix all the things that you know are wrong with it.
Yeah. And there's also this game here. It's called
Mm.
Ludos. Remember when I told you about the board game cafe in
Right. That's the name of
Brazil,
it,
the
right?
town visited? That's Ludos, is the board game cafe. Is
I
the
did
name.
sound familiar when you said that. Okay.
Yeah, because when during the pandemic, they had a lot of trouble to maintain the place because everybody was at home. They they there were a lot of action. How do you say that in English? When you make an action or an activity to help someone else, to help an institution, because they were about to close the doors and finish business, but a lot of people tried to help the board game cafe. So
Right.
there were many
Not
stuff.
crowdfunding.
Not,
It's charity. Charity.
they also had crowdfunding. They did a big
A benefit.
auction with yes, benefit actions. Like they did a benefit auction of everybody donated games to an auction that would raise game, and we created this game so people could buy it online and
Support the. That's awesome.
yeah, yeah.
That
and, and it's a game about or putting back the board games on the shelves. So it's like you work at Ludos, and at the end of the day, you gotta get all the games that were played back to the
Okay.
shelves. So you have to organize, and there are um, some score criteria to where do you put the game, put this one near this one, or trying to fill up all the shelves and all the stuff. And it was you only had to print the it's a roll and write game, so you only had to print the paper, yeah, the file we sent. And if you had you could get dice from any game you wanted, six-sided dice, and you could play the game. So it was very cool. We could help, not just help, but also pay a
Homage, you got the right. You had the right word. Homage
yeah,
to.
to them. And afterwards, when they had their 15th anniversary, we produced this physical version of the game for the first time,
Okay, that's
because
really cool.
it was only available online. Then we published, we made this physical version, and we are about to work on a new version of it. This is exclusive. We didn't announce that yet, but we're working on a new version, a new art on this, and I guess it will be very cool.
That's fun. That's awesome. So it also leads me to another question. It sounds like the Brazilian board game community is very supportive of each other. When I saw the video on Tom's page on the Dice Tower that he went to the Brazilian convention, he made a very point that like the community down there is amazing. That they do support each other. It sounds like, I mean, you're supporting, you guys banding together to help a board game store, which is awesome.
Yeah, everybody knows everybody, so it's we really try to a lot of times we work with each other, because like since it's a small community, you end up working with, in one way or another, you end up working with almost everybody.
Right.
So and we Brazilians normally they root for each other. When a Brazilian author or a Brazilian game or anything that gets a highlight outside Brazil, everybody's happy for that. Oh, Brazil is there. It's like it's like that soccer feeling of you're rooting for
Right.
your team and all that stuff.
Pride.
Yeah. So every time Comic Hunters appeared on a video, I got a lot of messages. Whoa, congratulations, very good. We're very happy to see that the game is going to be internationally published and all that stuff. So and that's the same for me. I get very happy when I see my friends. Oh, they signed another work. There's a great that is making success. Reviews are great. So because we understand that it represents us as a
It may one the rising tide, the rising tide raises all boats. That's
yeah,
the
yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome. That's,
And that's how I've been dealing with it. If I want to everybody I know that have great games, and to have this opportunity outside Brazil, because if it works for him or her, it will also work for me and for the other one, because we attracting the eyes, the industry eyes for us. So that's amazing. That only means that our market is growing, and it's a we are showing that we have very talented people here. So if you're a publisher, you should be you should be paying attention to what's going on around here.
okay, and it seems to be working because I saw on your Instagram page that coming to GenCon, how many Brazilian designers are coming to GenCon this year?
Brazilian board games authors. There games that I'm not sure, but more than 10, I guess.
Okay, because
I discovered that I others after I made that post. I discovered that there are two more, I guess. The games that were not listed there. There are a lot of games being released at the fair, and a lot of games being sold. And a lot of people doesn't know. Like you said, oh, I didn't know the Sheriff of Nottingham's author was Brazilian, because it's not saying on the cover or anything like that.
right. I mean, you told me cartographer
Cartographers,
and Stone Spine were written by the
Spine
same.
Architects,
Those
yes,
two my
they're
favorite. Those
from
two of my favorite games. I love Thunderworks, just so you know. But
the.
they were Brazilian authors. I was like, oh, that's really cool. I mean, I didn't know Kingsburg was written. You know.
No, Kingsburg is not Brazilian. It was published here, but it's not Brazilian.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's impressive. You know, and I know we've talked about doing something after Gen Con, and that's a teaser for anyone who's watching now with the Brazilian designers. But we'll let that, we'll just leave that as a teaser right now.
Yeah.
Hopefully something comes.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right, what we got here? Wow, you honestly, you've answered most of my questions without me asking them. So I think we've gone on for an hour and a half. So and I've had a wonderful time talking to you. I think I don't have any more questions for you. Is there anything
for now?
Believe me, once I'll be watching this, I'll be like, I should have asked that. But is there anything
we will have other opportunities to talk.
I hope so. I'm hoping to see you at Gen Con. You know,
sure.
I mean, I know that means that you're not as. I have a feeling you're gonna be swamped at Gen Con.
Sorry,
you're gonna be swamped. It just is you're gonna have a million people around.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know what to expect. It's my first time going to the US, and it's my first time going to GenCon, of course, because it's my first time in the US. I always wanted to visit the US, but could not work that before this. And I'm only going because of Comic Hunters, because that's how now I have to go now because it's the first time I have been publishing a game being published there, and I've been postponing this for a while. I've been to Essenspiel 3 times, but this is my first time at GenCon, and I really don't know what to expect. I know GenCon is the feeling and the mood and how things are organized there. It's very different from Spiel, but I really want to just to sign copies if people want, and to play the game with comic book fans or anything like that. I really want to play other games, to talk to other publishers, and to feel to live the experience of visiting Gen Con.
Yeah,
but I'm not planning. I'm not planning anything. I'll just go and see what happens.
Have you seen your schedule yet?
No, I don't have a clue.
Okay, that's what you feel. I'm busy from like 9 o'clock. I'm like meetings from like 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock.
I'll have some meetings, but I guess I have 2 meetings at least. But we are talking. We didn't schedule yet, but probably will be in the mornings. I'll try to keep my meetings in the mornings, so I have the afternoons and the other times to be there for Comic Hunters or to check other things out. I one thing I really wanna do is to get some games that are not possible to get here in Brazil. Like I really want to buy. I'm not a big fan of Smash Up, but I really want to buy Smash Up Marvel and Smash Up Disney just because I want to play it. And they're not sold outside Brazil, outside the US. They're only you can only buy them. Yeah. They have a booth in Essen Spiel, but they could not sell the game there because they can only sell the game in Brazil.
Oh wow, okay.
That's because of contracts and all that stuff.
Well, you now have a friend in New Jersey, so I'll be willing to help you get whatever you need.
That's good. Good to know. Good to know.
It's funny when I first heard about Comic Hunters. This is like early 2022, I guess. And I was like, I've got to get a copy. It was on eBay. The thing was
skyrocketing.
It was in the whole secondary market. It was a couple $100 just to get a copy.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have understood it. Like there wasn't. And I didn't care because like this game works. And so I have a friend who's Brazilian and she has family there. And I was like, do I ask her to see if her family can get it? In 2022 it probably was sold out. It was probably still sold out. But I was like trying to find a way. So now if I know any Brazilian games I need, we can work something out.
Yeah, we can work that. We can work that out.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions I have for you, and we can save more for next time. Let's do the closing now. Thanks, Robert, for showing up. Had a great time talking to you. If you like this channel, comment, subscribe. We'll do more if you want them. And that's pretty much it. Thank you again, Robert. I hope to talk to you
again. James, for the invite. I really love chatting about board games and about comic books and all the stuff. I co-host a podcast here in Brazil that's called Ponto de Ação, like the action point, and it's a podcast. Yes, it's a podcast about board gaming, but I guess it's the longest podcast about board game in Brazil because we start talking about a lot of things. Most of the time it's not about board games. So we talk about a lot of comics, about movies and series and TV and life, etc. And the episodes are huge. So because we really love to talk about all this stuff. So it's a pleasure to spend some time talking, especially from a different perspective of someone who lives in another country. That's even I want to talk about a lot about you, about your cosplays. I want to know more about this cosplay journey and all that stuff.
So if you want to put me on the podcast, I can't speak Portuguese at all. My wife's Peruvian, so she can get she can get a little bit of Spanish.
Your wife is Peruvian?
Yes.
Cool.
So she can get the Spanish, but there's a little. I know there's like a little bit of overlap,
Yeah, we can work that out.
So we'll talk about it another time.